meeting on Monday, April the,
Okay, hold on. Still waiting to go live.
oh,
Sorry. Now,
this is called to order the town of Pittsburgh Planning Board meeting. The regular meeting of April the 15th, tax day, Monday. The certification of quorum. I think we've got enough people here. Like the adoption of the agenda. Do I hear any comments on the agenda or change?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
There's a second, okay. How about approval of the minutes of the past meeting?
all in favor?
All in favor, I'm sorry. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Any comments on the minutes of the last meeting? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's done. The adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda. Yeah. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any public comment tonight, Randy?
No, sir, no one signed up.
No one trying to. Is anybody in old business?
Sorry,
Any old business?
not that I'm aware of.
Any new business?
We have a presentation from Ginger Power Band.
Okay,
Yeah,
No. As part of the series of just introducing the planning board to the different various phases of the planners in our department. So I was asked to put together something to describe the responsibilities of a planner one, and I am the planner one for the department, myself and Mitchell Penske. Prior to being planner one, I was admin with the town of Pittsburgh for the planning, engineering, and Parks and Rec department. So the last October, I became planner one. So I'll just give a brief rundown of what that actually means. So we're ready for the next slide, please. Okay, just the scope of regular planner one responsibilities is the primary point of contact, and I'm the switchboard for the planning department. I route all calls to the appropriate staff for the planning department. Portfolio manager for residential zoning compliance certificates and sign permits. And some typical questions that I receive that planner one can answer, and it's just basic zoning inquiries. And I receive questions like this every day. What is the zoning of my property? Can I add a second home to my lot? That's an accessory dwelling. Can I add a shed or a barn to my lot? Can I store my work equipment at my residence? What are the open space requirements and what are the requirements for a fence? So these are some of the things that a planner one typically will respond to. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, and the OpenGov permitting portal. A large part of what I do is assisting applicants with this process online. It launched October of 22, so it's still very new to us and certainly the public. So that's a large, when people have issues trying to log in or figure out the appropriate permit to apply for, just anything with that online permitting portal, I'm the first one that they'll talk to. And if it's something more technical, it would go to Senior Planner Eric Sanchez, who is our OpenGov administrator. And some examples of a zoning compliance permit for residential applications. And here I have some pictures. I tried to get as many of actual Pittsboro sites that I could, but it's generally single-family dwelling, accessory structure like a tool shed or a barn, fences, solar panels, and then that bottom right corner is the pool. And just recently I did my first pool application. I know it was exciting. I'm excited for those folks. It sounds wonderful, in-ground pool. And one thing I didn't know is that state statute requires a 4-foot fencing be in your plan to have an in-ground pool. So initially that application was on hold until they added a fence to their application, and then I was able to approve it. So, but that picture is kind of hard to see. You can see the fence around the pool. So I thought that was appropriate. So thank you. Okay, sign permits, and these are actually most of them signs that you have seen in Pittsboro. These are, again, Planner One has the approval authority to approve or deny sign permit applications. So some examples, the wall sign, that's the Fidelity Bank on 64. Yard signs, no permit required as long as it's on private property and not in the right of way. Fixed mounted sign, it's different now, but that's the old one from Al's Lunchbox, and there are several of those all over town, but they have to meet certain specifications. And then on the right there, we see Zaxby's, and that was actually part of the Zaxby's sign permit applications with signage going into those developments like Chatham Park and Northwood that are zoned PDD or MUPD. Before they can be approved, we have to have a letter of approval from the developers responsible for those sites. So that's part of their process. I just thought that was interesting. The others that are in town, not in a PDD or MUPD, that's mixed use plan development, the town can approve those. So next. All right. And a Planner One typically is asked to determine floodplain. This is required by the county to have a floodplain determination before they can issue permits for certain building permits, certainly septic suitability and perk testing. And that is actually a snippet of the Chatham County GIS somewhere off of, I think that's Chatham Parkway. I can't see it from here, but the blue lines, that indicates the floodplain. So naturally, if you're wanting to put a septic tank where those blue lines are, that's probably going to be a hard no. So, but that is something the county does require from anyone in town jurisdiction to have one of these before they'll issue a permit. And one fun activity you can try is determine whether your property is within a floodplain using that FRIS flood risk information system to determine where your property is. So feel free to do that at your leisure. If you have any questions about that, feel free to call me, email the office. But if you just want to see that for yourself, that's the website to give that a try. And next, okay, and finally, last but not least, clerk to the planning board. That is typically a Planner One responsibility. I was actually clerk to the planning board as admin. When I was admin for several different departments, that was part of the job. So I'm familiar with doing that. It came with me when I came on as Planner One. So the responsibilities there, what you see me doing now, attending the planning board meetings, I record the minutes, distribute the agenda packets, and that are compiled by the reviewing staff. They send me their the materials. I put them together in the agenda and make sure that they get to you in a timely manner. And so with that, I just want to be sure that you all know if you ever need me for anything or have any questions about the agenda or anything about the meetings, please feel free to call me. And if I can't answer your question, I'll make sure you get to the appropriate staff that can. I think there's one more slide just in closing, and this is it. A good synopsis for Planner One is general intake processing, sending all referrals to senior staff, and being the liaison to the planning board. And so with that, I thank you so much for your time and your service, and I'm at your service. So we'll move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's presenting the
That will be Lisa.
affordable housing percentage?
Give just a minute.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Teresa.
Good evening.
Wilson. Thank you. Planning staff is requesting text amendments to the Pittsburgh Unified Development Ordinance. We're modifying affordable housing incentives to encourage the construction of additional affordable housing within market rate development in the zoning jurisdiction of Pittsburgh. So over the past several years, planning staff, we've met with dozens and dozens of developers about proposed developments. Specifically, single-family detached is what we're talking about tonight. In general, developers want smaller lots, higher density, so that they can have a greater return on their projects. So, for example, the majority of single-family detached lots in the vineyards in Chatham Park range from 3,500 square feet to 7,000 square feet. So, a couple of years ago, we updated the UDO with several incentives that staff recommended. General kind of incentives that you would see in lots of other jurisdictions. And not one has been used by any developer thus far. So we are trying to think of ways to encourage developers to build affordable housing. While we can't require it because inclusionary zoning is not legal in North Carolina. So the smallest zoning district we currently offer in Pittsburgh right now is R5, residential 5, which is 5,000 square feet. Staff recommends completely removing this district. The next smallest zoning district is R10, which is square feet. So we also have an R12, R15, R20. Then it goes, and that corresponds with the square footage. And then we go up to RA, which is 1 acre, RA2, which is 2 acres, and RA5, which is 5 acres. So a good bit of Pittsburgh's in this higher density zoning districts, the R10, 12s, 15s, and 20s. So one option a developer has to build in Pittsburgh, if this gets approved, this language, is to decrease the lot size by 50%. If they provide 10% of affordable housing units. So if they're building 100 units, then 10 of those would need to be affordable. And then they can, by right, go ahead and decrease it by 50%. So in essence, we're still providing the R5, which is the 5,000 square foot lot, but we're also trying to promote affordable housing. So one benefit for developers, if they choose to pursue this incentive, is that it's a completely administrative decision. So it's made by staff. It's not a legislative decision. So that kind of gives the developer, a safeguard. It also helps with time, public hearings and such, add months and months to projects. The proposed incentive language also, in addition to reducing lot area by 50%, can reduce the lot width by up to 40%, the side setbacks down to 5 feet, and the rear setbacks to 15 feet. Feel free.
Yeah, sorry. So can they decrease the whole project area by those amounts? Or just the area and lot size for the affordable homes?
The
The whole development,
Sir.
okay.
I'm sorry, Teresa, and R10 will be the smallest.
It's the smallest traditional zoning district we have. Yes.
Okay.
So if someone goes through the conditional rezoning process like Chatham Park,
Mhm.
they have varied minimum lot sizes. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh. So yeah, there's ways that you can have smaller if you want to go through this easy
Okay,
process, the conditional rezoning. This is just an option.
okay,
So essentially what this, you all hear me? Essentially what this does is it removes the 5,000 square foot lot as a use by right
Mhm.
and makes it an option. The only way that you can exercise it is if you agree to go through a conditional rezoning. And one of the things that would happen to you is your willingness or unwillingness to do affordable would determine whether or not that
Mhm.
option was open to you.
Mhm.
Is that clear?
Yeah, I get it. I was just, making sure that R10 was the smallest that would be available.
The next.
For traditional rezoning, for general use rezoning, excuse me.
Got it.
General use.
Okay.
Conditional rezoning is. It can
Small
go,
as you
as-
like it.
yeah,
Small
whatever
as you
the
like
board
it.
approves.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So that was gonna be my question. We're reducing the 50% lot area and the 40% less width. What's that number based off of? Is that off of the R5 numbers?
No.
Or is that completely conditional?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, okay, so basically, if 10 is the smallest it can be, 10,000
Mhm.
square feet. So, and the minimum width is everything that you see in the R10. In this particular case, when you do the minimum 10%, you can reduce the lot area by 50%, reduce the width by 40%. Y'all were here for the, I think you all were here for the Reeves Farm across the street.
Yeah, yes.
That was the first time this was actually put into motion
Okay,
without it being the ordinance because we're
Okay.
conditional zoning. So this is a way that you could reduce the setbacks at the side,
Hmm.
at the rear, and make the lot skinnier and make it at least 50% smaller. So you're going down from 10, the one you mentioned, down to 5.
Okay.
Did that answer it? I don't know.
Yeah, we can't start it. I just got, it's only.
You're starting at
That if you're.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
The default is 10.
Okay.
Of course, yes. So yeah, you still have to meet fire code requirements for separations. We also didn't want to go less than 5% so that someone, if they need to bring their, like, let's say trash can around the house, there's enough space, or an HVAC unit. So, logistically, we didn't want to go less than 5 feet.
I was gonna say, and certainly with that super density where you only have the 5-foot setback on the side, your building material, we already know is fibrous cement. You're not using vinyl.
Mm.
You're not using wood. You're definitely gonna have fibrous cement. So it's not flammable.
Mhm.
and then
Is
is,
that 5 for each lot between a total of 10 between?
Yes, sir, that would be the correct number. Yeah.
Get a lawnmower.
Share a lawnmower.
Yes.
This is more building codes, but
3 passes.
special rule when they
That
become.
would probably be a good question for the building code.
What was the
Question?
question?
Special roofing if you're in tight as far as the fire code.
Fire codes. That would.
No, unless there is a change of use in between. Yeah,
Yeah, no.
the walls need to be, there needs to be firewalls if
But-
it gets to a certain.
But when you are trying to build an individual house on one of these lots, when they're doing your, when they're evaluating your application, they're definitely going to advise the builder about materials. We do put it in the conditions right now, but the building code kind of rules the day on that one. So the idea is less chance of it burning down. If you bring them in closer than 10 feet per side setback, you're going to have to use non-flammable or build a firewall on the outside of each.
So the only way someone can build homes that close is if 10% of all their homes are affordable.
That's the only way we would approve a conditional zoning that way. Right
Well,
now, Chatham Park's already doing that.
Right,
Other
but going, so say we hypothetically went forward with this and stuff. Okay,
you
I guess that
move
was fine.
forward with this, we won't have to go through the CZ process.
Right, okay.
To do that.
okay,
This would be a way that developers can
Yes.
bypass that process.
so, okay.
And
Well, and-
are they,
Yep.
sorry to cut you off, are they guaranteed approval? If they're within these, or is it up to you guys to?
No, if they meet all standards, local, state, federal standards,
good.
all of the above, then they would get approved.
Okay,
One more question.
Yes.
I know there has to be, so these can't be all in one area, right? So 10% can be all these 10%. These have to be separate and stuff. So some of the affordable housing would be bigger lots or different size stuff.
Text of the ordinance actually states that you can't.
Right, that's right. That's what I'm referring to and stuff.
Yes,
So
You don't want to set up a neighborhood where
100%.
you roll up and go, oh, wow.
The trailer, yeah.
Exactly.
But so that 10% would be distributed somehow between the 10-foot distance between homes and then the 30-foot distance between homes. Or whatever it would be.
Can you
That makes sense?
fix them back and forth?
Of course. Well, let me just say,
Sure.
across the street, 1,700 units
Mhm.
across the street. And the lot widths are variable. within the one across the street. So it isn't that every lot is like teeny tiny. It's that this is an option for getting the lots down small where you want a lot of density.
Okay.
But can they have a section of larger lots with one or two of these in the section? Or do they have to be in a group to their,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
do what?
So this is what they can reduce it to. So if the developer wants certain streets or sections, you know, a mixture of larger homes versus smaller homes, that's okay. But per the language, the affordable housing units have to be integrated within the entire development.
Mhm.
It cannot, you can't just drive through a neighborhood and say, okay, this is the affordable housing section.
Yeah, so I'm saying, does integrated mean non-continuous? Like, or can they be adjacent to one another? Right,
It's
so,
more like buckshot.
okay,
So we would
Do I know?
and so maybe a couple next to each other, but you can't have all of them next to each other.
We would recommend them not being next to each other.
Adjacent, okay.
Correct.
That would be mine.
The 10%, is this kind of standard rhetoric from other districts or
So
15 feasible? I mean, is there?
I would say like, just based on my research, 15 is the goal. We did have to think a little outside the box on this language because most of the research we did, it's required. So like most states can require affordable housing, inclusionary zoning. And in North Carolina, there's not a ton of examples of towns that have language besides just the regular incentives that we already have, besides Chapel Hill.
Is that something we could do though?
This is legal. Now, if we were to say you have to have 10% in every subdivision, then that's not legal.
That's not legal, okay.
Purpose of this whole change is that we have many, many pages in the current UDO that have not been used at all since it's been there. So if you have people who literally are not taking advantage of any of it, this is a way to say, okay, I see that didn't work. This is what we're going to try now.
Yeah. I guess my fear is that everyone's gonna take us up on this offer.
Oh, by having a ton of affordable housing, that would make us very happy.
I mean, that would be great, but then we would have potentially a lot of like very, very compact neighborhoods.
But if you look like,
We do now. In the plans that have been coming through, they are all very compact.
Without any affordable. I understand.
Most of them so far have had affordable.
Oh, okay.
Across the street. I'm sorry, hold
No,
on.
you're-
Across the street.
Yeah.
Certainly, Turkey Creek, you
Mhm.
know, again, so the sites that have been coming here and the ones that will continue to go. In fact, Turkey Creek is going to be back as Madison Ridge. Madison Ridge, when you see the layout, you'll see that they took it to heart. But yeah, it's small lots. It's really a small lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Well,
Are you sure?
no, we'll get there. I want to jump ahead.
And I was gonna to Charity, we can always update it.
Okay.
If that turns into the case and we find out that it should be 15%, then we can always update it.
Okay.
But we spoke to a couple of developers just to kind of get an idea. And, you know, without crunching the numbers for an actual project, it's hard to say. But the feedback that we got is that it is doable.
Sorry, now, not about crunching the numbers, like the stuff we talked about last week, and when we look at 60% of the median, which is the state's median, at $50,000. And to be affordable, you have to be 30% of your income plus including for your rent, utilities and your insurance and stuff. Then my math was, close to like 10K a year or $800 a month would be for 30 years, so I don't think like a ton of developers are going to jump on that necessarily. Unless it's worth their while, unless it's a big enough development, so.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but we're at least trying to get
But I think it's-
started.
Yeah.
I like this. I think it's a great idea.
I was gonna go over a few of the, thank you. I was gonna go over a few of the benefits of affordable housing. What we're trying to do is promote social economic diversity within neighborhoods. Mixed income communities are beneficial for social cohesion, economic integration, providing opportunities for people from different backgrounds to interact and share resources. Affordable housing located within market rate developments often provide better access to amenities, services, and opportunities such as quality education, healthcare, and employment centers. This can help reduce disparities in access to resources between low-income and higher-income households. Housing affordability is also crucial for attracting and retaining a diverse workforce. Without affordable housing options, lower income workers may be forced to live farther away from job centers or commute longer distances, leading to increased transportation costs and reduced economic mobility. Integrating affordable housing into market rate developments can contribute to the revitalization of urban areas by creating vibrant mixed-use communities. This can lead to increased investment, improved infrastructure, and a more attractive built environment for residences and businesses alike. So overall, what we're trying to do is include affordable housing in the market rate developments. This is a multifaceted approach to addressing housing affordability challenges, promoting social equity, and fostering sustainable urban development. So that's what we're trying to do. The land use plan that was recently adopted, as you could see in the proposed consistency statement, speaks to all of the sections in the land use plan that addresses affordable housing. Most, if not all, projects that have been approved by the town in the last, at least, I would say, 3 to 4 years, that has gone through the conditional rezoning process, has provided some sort of affordable housing that's basically based on conversations between the boards and the applicant, because it is important to Pittsboro to provide that. So we're trying to provide another option. By having this in the UDO, it also lets developers know that it is important to Pittsboro. So even if they go through the CZ process, they know at least we would like to start at least 10%.
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there, I'm just not sure how it works. Is there any way to safeguard against people buying these affordable housing homes and then renting them out?
Yes, there are several options that our town attorney and based research that we've done that would be offered. So it could be accomplished by either a ground lease, a deed restriction, or other covenant running with the unit of land. So as of right now, this would be, the Pittsboro would ensure that those are met.
Okay.
But we are having conversations with other organizations. So the goal is that we are going to partner with other organizations to help us with that.
Okay.
We're not there yet, but we've started conversations.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, like is there a limit to how many a single person or LLC or whatever could buy of these units?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Even if they did, they would still have to keep the rents
Right.
in affordable numbers, so.
Right, for 30 years.
So they could, in fact, somebody could build 20 of them and just rent them out.
For 30 years, right?
No, it would need to be restricted to only the people living there, falling under that 60% AMI requirement.
They can rent them out. Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't
As
just,
long as they rented them to people that met the requirements.
well, no, this is for single family detached, so these would be homeowners. So I can double check on that, but I don't think renting it out to just anybody is something that would be permitted.
Yeah, I'm confused. How do you stop it? If a developer comes in and wants to put 20 of these in 100 houses, and he builds them and sells them, and the people want to rent them, can they rent them?
So, the conversations we're having with another organization, a community home trust, they would ideally fall under their umbrella, and they would be the ones to ensure that it's going to happen the way it's supposed to. When speaking with the town attorney, these were the ways that he recommended to ensure it. So, and he's not here tonight, so we can talk to him and make sure that there are safeguards, but having the conversations with him. That's the way that it's
I'd
typically.
say I wonder what stops an individual from buying 10 of them and just deciding to rent them.
But if you rent them for that,
You still have to rent them out for that,
but
that
you
number.
have to rent them to
for that
someone who meets
affordable
those
number. You
requirements.
still have to rent them out for that affordable
I
number.
say as long as he rents them out within the affordable
Yeah.
numbers,
Yeah,
is it okay for him to do that?
that's a good question. I hadn't, in my research, have not come across that being an issue, but we'll double check, and make sure, because that's typically how it's done in other jurisdictions. So I know it is something that we would prefer to work with a nonprofit, that's what they do full time. That's our goal. So, but this language is standard language for having this type of program. So, but I will make sure we look at, what the safeguards are to ensure that someone doesn't just sell it the next day and at market rate. But the way that it's set up is that can't happen, but I'll get more information about that for sure.
But what is the 30 years for then?
That's how long it has to stay within the as an affordable housing unit.
Meaning you can only sell it to someone who meets that requirement to buy it if you owned it?
Correct. For 30 years. Now, if we go through a community home trust, we might have to come back and make text amendments because we need to make sure it falls within their guidelines. Some have like a 99-year requirement. So since we're not there yet,
Okay.
30 years is a pretty standard number.
How is that number adjusted annually? As far as,
So AMI,
A year.
based on the metropolitan statistical area,
is it
yes, sir. So we fall within the Chapel Hill Durham statistics. So we,
considered as low income housing?
I want to say the AMI, the last I checked was around 116,000. So 60% of that would be target for what we're saying is affordable.
I thought we said last month, we talked about like our area with the data that we had was similar to the States. Googled that, it was like 56,000.
Yeah, but the thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I need to get near a microphone. Yes, one of the quirks is that we're actually in a metropolitan service area.
Okay.
That's considerably higher income
Okay.
in our area. So, depending on what you're building and how you're trying to do it, you can either use the higher number and go 60. You can use our number, go 80. I mean, there's a number of ways to do that.
Right.
Now, with a land trust, what frequently happens is that there's a land lease where you would lease the land for like $50 a month. It's for lease for 99 years. The structure on it can only be occupied by people who are fitting a particular criteria. And as you said, a not-for-profit would run that. That's one of the ways that they keep that in place.
And that's the direction we're hoping to go in.
Right. We're just not there yet.
Yes.
So right now we're relying on good faith and good ordinance changes.
Sorry, Randy, what was the name of the sub area that's?
Metropolitan
Statistical area,
Statistical Area,
MSA.
MSA.
It's for, is it metropolitan?
Yeah, so basically they grab areas that are nearby
Mhm.
and you basically have the median household income of the entire statistical area.
Okay.
Ideally, we would
Graphic, sorry.
Yes, yes, it is.
geographic.
So it's us, Chapel Hill, Durham.
Oh, okay.
Ideally, in the future, we would like to conduct a study specific to just Pittsburgh's area.
Yes.
But we would have to pay a consultant, so we're not there yet as well. So as of right now, the MSA is the most accurate.
So parts of each of those areas or the whole of all those areas?
What we would be studying is just us. I'm sorry, it's the whole, basically, the idea is you have a service area where typically if you're here and there is a service we don't have, like say Duke Hospital,
Sure.
you're within driving distance.
Gotcha.
It's sort of the things that are nearby. And obviously, we can't control anybody outside of ourselves,
Mhm.
but certainly the idea with the average home in this particular market being in the 600s. You don't want everybody who's trying to buy a house to be in that bag. When people are creating something new, it's nice to get them to present a product that is actually somewhat affordable.
Do you know what that 60% of the MSA is or no? Not right now.
Not right offhand, but I was also going to tell you, the next step up is actually,
Probably around 70.
yes, workforce housing, which is the next step up from there.
That's 80%.
Yes, sir, that is correct. And that would be people who, as a household, are making, 68 to 100. That's two adults working. Presumably the children aren't working.
And speaking on that a little more, our language doesn't address that. Multifamily townhomes are already a permitted use in most districts. So that was one change we made with the UDO, is to make like apartments permitted by right. A lot of jurisdictions don't allow that. It's usually a special use permit. So that addresses workforce housing.
And also don't forget that one of the other affordability elements that we have is most of the districts allow accessory dwelling units.
Mhm.
That's an additional house on your property. It's smaller, it's significantly smaller, but so that's, certainly in the place where I live, that's unlawful. Still, they've been working on it for 4 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The typical square footage of affordable house.
Well, that would really vary.
Yeah, it would depend. So if we're going to go with a 5,000 square foot lot, what would, 15?
1,500 or so.
Square feet. Trying to think of examples.
There'd be 2 stories, 750,
It would have to be if your lot's 5,000 square feet.
I did some math. That's why I asked the question.
You're gonna run out of usable land. You'll be on someone else's property.
Yeah, $200 a square foot
Yes, sir.
came out at about 580 square feet. Times 2,
Yeah,
give you about 1,250.
Yes, sir.
Feet.
yes, sir.
Sir.
The idea is affordability and accessibility, not luxury.
Yeah, but we've seen a lot of examples of proposed developments on 5,000 square foot lots or smaller. So,
So they're right around 1,200 to 1,500 square feet.
oh, yes, sir.
Yes, yes. There are actually 5,000 square foot lots that have 1,800 square foot houses on it. They're not affordable, but they are there. Cool. You have the next piece. You're telling them about the 1%. Sorry. We're getting up.
Sure, okay, yes. So, after done reviewing and discussing, staff recommends the planning board to make a motion to recommend the approval of the text amendments for CTA 2024-03 to the Unified Development Ordinance and adopt the Town of Pittsburgh Planning Board Land Use Plan Consistency Statement for approval.
I hear a motion to approve.
I make the motion that we approve it. Everything that she said. I don't have to restate it.
All in favor,
Aye.
Hi.
opposed? Okay, I carry it.
Now we're really gonna have fun. We're gonna talk about preservation of farmland. A minute. We'll get there. I'll come up in a minute. All right, here we go. So in your packet, you should have a memo that looks amazingly like this. I hope you do. It has to do with my presentation, which is coming up right now. There, back up a page or two. There you go. We're getting there. Hoping to go to this page right here. First page. Yeah, very first one. All right, you can make it a little bit smaller if you like. Thank you. Okay, so we have a legislative request from Mr. Robertson, who is here. He lives at 581 Kelly's Haven Way in Moncur. It's in our ETJ. It's actually just across the way a little bit. He's submitted a petition to have a map amendment done to rezone his family's land, or at least 3 pieces of it. We're going to talk about it in a minute. And currently, the land is uniformly zoned M2, which is heavy industrial. He would like it rezoned to RA, which is rural agricultural. The combined acreage is of the 3 pieces. I guess we can go on to the next page if that, and here we go. All righty. Right there. You can stop with that mapper right there. There you go. Very good. So these 3 lots here work out to 32.17 acres of land, and 24 of the acres of land actually are zoned uniformly M2. If you look on the one that's marked 74500, there's sort of a weird, it looks almost like a pipe, like you would smoke a pipe. The top part is an M2 and the bottom part is RA, which is where we're heading on this particular request. Owner intends to utilize the site property in the exact ways and utilizing it for quite a while, which is for both residential and agricultural uses. I want to let y'all know something. When you're in the ETJ area of any town, doesn't matter how the land is actually currently zoned, you can farm it forever and ever and ever. That has absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing. However, in this particular case, what he would like to do, when you have land that is zoned in a way such as the M2 district, what happens is you can place one house on 10 acres of land. And the assumption is that you live there and you farm about half of the land, about 5 acres. Well, if you want to break it up any smaller, you need to be rezoned RA. So Mr. Robertson here has 2 sons. How many sons? 3 sons. Okay, they're all up 3 fingers. They have 3 sons, and all 3 of those sons have expressed an interest in not only farming on the land, but living on the farm they work on. Kind of hard to do if it's zoned the wrong way. So anyway, site's been in farm production. Y'all can come up. Site's been in farm production for a period of at least 45 years. That's my estimate. By the way, I gave the wrong address. It is 285 and 581 Callie's Haven Way. 258 is 285. So made a few mistakes here, but we're just going to keep right on rolling. So anyway, it's been in farm production. I'm going to put you on this side of me because there's a microphone right there. We're going to want to hear your voice in just a second. You're going to introduce yourself, name, address, and all that stuff. But anyway, they reside on the parcel that is 74500. Is that correct? There you go. So staff looked at this, and this proposed amendment is shown on the future land use map as an employment mixed use, but the property's been owned by one family. It's been utilized for agricultural purposes. There's a narrow private road, the one we just described. Acreage is separated from Moncure Pittsboro Road by the Turkey Creek development we were discussing earlier. And they don't want to get in on the game. The land use plan, I do want to mention to you all, emphasizes the need to conserve farmland in the natural resources conservation area as one of the 4 building blocks of a community. So I want y'all to be very aware that our land use plan says this should be a farm. These folks live on a farm, they own a farm, they want to continue to own a farm. Please introduce yourselves, and I'm going to turn the floor over for a second or 2.
I'm Nakia Robertson, and this is my fiance.
Christy Whitley, about to be Robert.
And we just the plan has always been to, my grandpa bought this farm in 1947. He passed it along to my dad. I've lived there since I was 3. I have 3 boys, and the plan has always been to give them some acreage so that they could continue to live on the farm. And as it is right now, you have to have 10 acres to put a home on. I have more kids than I have acreage is my.
The whole family lives out, like, this is 90 acres as a whole for the family, and our whole family lives out there. Like, his parents live out there, his brother and sister live out there. This is their whole family. And they farm this land. They go to the farmer's market. His parents still farm every week and go to the Durham farm, to farmers markets around, and they take vegetables and egg. I mean, they still go and farm this land every week. But part of it is they want to leave a legacy to our family. And with his boys, he's wanting to give a part of this. He's about to be a grandfather in September and wanting to have places for his boys to stay close if they want to do that. And we're asking to have a little help to be able to zone it to where they can stay with us.
And this is our best shot at affordable housing, to use the land that we already
Mhm.
have. It's like,
Yeah.
How big a lots are you planning for each one?
My plan right now is, so the lot 74500 is 11 acre. That's where we live. And then on the 7454 lot, that's 11 also.
Yeah, can y'all go? Go down the page. There's one more map. That what?
Oops,
And now you're on strength.
I was having the same problem.
Okay, right there. What, we're doing. I'll just half a page. All right, we are there.
Yeah.
So actually the acreage is listed there.
Can't read it.
11171.
Yeah, there you go. It's right there.
So my
That's
plan
not
right
easy.
now, the 10 acre lot is in my name, but my parents have lifetime rights to that 10 acres. So for right now, we're not gonna do anything with that, but on the other lot, I'd like to, as soon as possible, be able to give my oldest son and his wife 4 acres on that lot so that they could go ahead and get started.
Building.
And then the other 7 on that, I would like to deed to my middle son. Then in the future, the 10 acre lot, I would break off 3 and give to my oldest son. Therefore, they would have 7. There would be 7 left for my younger. They would each have 7 acres exactly. That's my ultimate plan.
The minimum lot size in this district is 1 acre. So the idea here was just to take the monkey off their back, so to speak, and just say, you may divide this as you see fit. Right now, dividing it is tough because if you're gonna put a house on it, you've got
To do 10.
10 and 10 only. You've got 91.02. That's up there in the background of the report. So I'm gonna say that, okay.
And it will be continued to be in farm use.
Yeah.
We only have 30 of the 90, so to do 10, 10 and 10, we would not have a house in.
We would have to find a place to live.
Yeah.
I have a question. The other parcels that aren't up for rezoning, are they also in the family?
They
Yes.
are. It's
Okay.
his
And that
sister,
is-
brothers, and yeah.
That is a potential future rezoning. We want to
That was-
see how this, we want to see how this
Then,
one
thank
goes.
you.
We want to see
Kids
how
are
this one
younger and
His brother has 3 children and
there's
his
no
sister
immediate
has 2,
need
so.
right now.
Okay.
On the other hand, he has an immediate need.
I
So
do.
anyway. all right,
Thank you so
both.
much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
you can put up with all the 2 or 3 errors in this particular thing inside on your desk in front of you. There's a slightly corrected that still needs at least correction. The consistency statement that I prepared for 285 and 581 Callie's Haven Way. And as I pointed out to you all, the proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use plan. Farm conservation is not compatible with the map, but the map is just one component of the plan. The plan does make mention of the fact that the preservation of farmland is very, very much vital to this particular area. And I did want to point out that it is taxed as farmland currently. It is reasonable, it's in the public interest, and it will benefit the surrounding community by encouraging preservation of existing farmland. One other very minor point, but maybe not so minor, quite honestly, since we've been having a whole evening talking about development, this is an opportunity for people who live in Madison Ridge and the surrounding areas, Del Webb and the other Potterstone, to be able to observe a working farm in very close proximity to where they are. there are very few unspoiled pieces of land left in the United States. And I felt like this was an opportunity to give them an opportunity to enjoy it for more than one person's lifetime. So the planning board would be recommending approval of the zoning map amendment from M2 to RA. And the proposal involves the parcels that are listed comprising 24 acres, because it's 32, but only 24 incorrectly zoned. And I'm hoping that you all might see fit to approve or get a motion at least to recommend approval.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes, carried.
Right. See you at the point of the Board of Commissioners.
Congratulations on the grandchild.
Right. So next month, we're going over to the coming attractions. Next month, we're going to your training exercise next month. I feel almost like I've got you all in school. We're going to have a very, very exciting treat. Jim Joyce, who works with the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill's law department, and is actually an expert on planning use and land use law, is going to come and give a workshop. I believe he's going to be here for about 90 minutes. At next month's meeting, he's the centerpiece. Jim Joyce is sort of sidekick to Adam Lovelady, and they run the planning department. And he has agreed very graciously to take some time out of his incredibly busy schedule and come and talk to you all about functions of the planning board and expectations for the future and trends. And we are very, very lucky to have him come to be here. So I would hope that you all can be here. We are inviting the town board members who wish to attend are free to come and sit in on the session, because again, it is it's a high honor to have someone from the School of Government come and actually sit down. And when you come into our offices and you look at the diplomas on the walls and you look at our continuing education, they are our primary source. And they have a great resource to local government on land use. We do rely on them very heavily, and we do speak to them on a very regular basis. And so you'll finally see what we see. Mr. Joyce, I was introduced to him in 2005. I'm going to say it was around 2005. So it's a very long time ago. He was teaching election law at the time, and I thought, gosh, wonder if he'll be here in 5 years. Well, now he's a department head, so very clearly it worked out for him. But he actually was the law and legal update for North Carolina Association of the NCAPA chapter meeting in Durham last year, and gave a very interesting legal update. And he's actually where we get a lot of our information from. Other than that, we are just hard at work at some assuming they're coming up at either the next meeting or the next, we're going to be bringing you all a group of other amendments to the UDO. Apparently, we're going to rewrite it one line at a time with some expert help. And we do have the Madison Ridge, which is the of the two pieces of Turkey Creek, it's the one that's like a point. So it's closest to Potterstone, and they have prepared a very interesting residential situation up there, and they're coming in for preliminary plat approval. And we met today in preparation for a meeting with the folks who are behind the newly redesigned Robertson's Walk. So we're just north to our friends that just left. So we're going to be bringing that to you all fairly shortly as well.
Where is that one located?
That is that thicket of woods out on 64 Business East, near the bank. You know,
It goes all the way through
like, wow, there's a lot of woods here. Well,
Flower Farm.
that's where that's going to happen. Yes. So we're super excited. I'm gonna say that this is, well, I don't know what it's been like before I got here, but I'm gonna say that things are getting more and more exciting as we go along.
That's a development off Industrial Drive.
Yes, sir.
That thing's been in the
The historical cemetery, we need to keep tabs on back.
Yes, sir. And you'll be interested to speak to them about that very matter. Also, speaking of historical cemeteries, we did recently receive sort of a sketch plan and request for a conditional rezoning for the Wimberley property behind Reeves Farm across the street. So when they sent the letters out about their neighborhood meeting, I believe we received a phone call from practically everybody who got a letter about cemetery out front. They wanted to make sure that we knew that the area was marshy, had flood areas, and also had a cemetery in it. So we went in knowing that much, and we're going to continue to learn about that site as we move on. So any questions? Doesn't feel like it. All right. You're down to number 9.
We have any comments from the board?
I don't.
I just want to thank staff for all the education. It's
Heck yeah.
really great. And it's nice that you're kind of like peppering it into the meeting. So thank you for putting all this together. It's helpful.
Next month is that's very exciting, actually.
It is.
I thought they would say no. Super excited.
Any other comments? Hear a motion?
I make a motion with adjourn.
Motion made to adjourn.
Oh.